Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of DRR. You can find us on Facebook, Google+, and a couple different search engines if you type in drywall repair Ocala, Florida. So, what we're looking at today is a stomp texture. You can see that. It's actually more of a crow foot. You roll it on and go ahead and place your bristles onto the texture that is applied to the ceiling. And this was previously addressed by a handyman, and unfortunately due to board shear, it actually extended from this corner out. And then you can actually see the double plate up here, where the two pieces of timber run side by side. And that gap was about a 1/4 inch gap that mud was packed in, taped appropriately, but after a matter of time it cracks. Now a couple of things I'd like to point out. Hanging drywall is never easy. Doing a drywall patch is a whole nother animal. As you can see right here, see that right there? That's a nail. And it's not really hanging on to anything. It's kind of in between them. It's in there, but it's not in a great position. So whenever you're hanging drywall, it's extremely important, try to figure out where the studs are. Now you're going to miss every once in a while. The rest of the nails have been removed, but I just put that up there so you can see that if you miss, or even if you don't miss, see how easy that came out of there? Now it's the right tool, right application, but still. Now, you're wondering, why is this other drywall board hanging down? I'm so glad you asked. If you actually turn the camera, you see here, there is a very slight to the camera height difference. It's about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch. So, I went ahead and removed the nails that were holding this existing drywall. We'll go ahead and let that fall down. Now the question is, can I go ahead and use a factory edge, not a butt edge, which is an uncut that you take off the end of the board? Can I gain enough by using a factory edge and attaching this back tight to the existing timber and then the factory edge of the new board here? The short answer, I don't really think so. It's going to be just a little bit too much, so I'm probably going to have to shim this out just a hair down so that instead of being up tight, it releases just a bit so that the two boards can come together properly. Again, a couple things to look out for when you're doing a drywall patch. See those buckets right there, that metal hardware? That's a no-no. Your natural inclination is going to be, okay, I've got the board up, put a couple of screws here in the middle, one on the end. I'm going to put one right here on the end. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You need to make sure that you're nailing right here, and you skip this. In many cases, this hardware will hang down too low, and you can float that bulge with your board, but if you start beating around and trying to go ahead and put a screw or nail in there, you're either going to hit the metal or you're going to hit the wood right beside it and suck that board in there, and you're going to be cutting out more loose board. That's never any fun. Another tip. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see this, but you can kind of see it through the plastic. Yep, that's trim, folks. And so I had an option. I could either, right here to the side of your can light, go ahead and cut the board that was up there because it wasn't affected by the crack and tie back in or put the two boards back together. Or, instead of running mud, you go ahead and be careful and get right up there against the trim. Let me get close to this so you can see this. And I've actually razor bladed back at an angle so that when the new board slides right here, it's a caulk joint. The reason for that being, it is extremely difficult to hide a butt joint, especially in natural light application. As you can see, it's kind of a cloudy day, but I still have a lot of natural light coming through here. This home is actually going on the market. It's going to be very difficult to sell if it looks like an amateur has come in and messed around. So, I'm not an amateur by any stretch of the imagination, but might as well go ahead and save ourselves some grief and go ahead and run a nice caulk joint here by the trim versus trying to keep our float and then having to bring it back this way so much so that it doesn't build down and then look silly against your reveal on the trim. And lastly, here's a trick that a lot of folks miss, and it's kind of simple. Excuse the camera as we move around. But you can see this drywall is unsupported. I've got a piece of wood here, no piece of wood there. We've just kind of got some insulation that we cut through with the drywall saw. What you're going to do is you're going to slide a piece of wood move out all your trash there. See, now look at that right there. See the crown? See that staple? Those are things like that you want to look out for, because you don't want to just kind of go on top of that. So you're going to go just to this side. You want to be level. You want to be flat. So you don't have any debris in between your nailer, your auxiliary nailer here. And go ahead and float over the top of this 4 to 6 inches, and go ahead and float over the top of your wall transition. And you don't have to do quite as much, so we're going to cheat it because we got a little bit less. And this is a simple piece of 3/4 inch stock. So as you can see, I've got about 3/4 of an inch to an inch showing out here, about a thumb width. And then you have more on this side. And what we'll do is we'll insert screws about every 6 to 8 inches on this side, and then you'll put the new board on this side. And that allows the boards, because of the age of the existing material, it actually wants to flex downward versus being straight. It'll want to flex. And so that flex will be mitigated to some extent by this supporting piece of board that is placed there. And then the drywall, as it's attached, because it is firm and stiff, will be allowed to bow slightly and make up the difference. And as they say, caulk and paint make it what it ain't. But it's our job and our responsibility to go ahead and make sure that we offer a quality product. I hope you learned something today. It's always a lot of fun getting into situations, and if you can find a tip or a trick, something that will save you 20-30 minutes in a repair, well, that's money in your pocket. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we look forward to sharing with you again next time. Daniel Osborne, #DRR.